Hello everyone! This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is December the 27th, 2018. Strong hand. Unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Deferral gratification. Conviction. Okay, so why am I doing the Beyond Bitcoin show on a Thursday instead of a Saturday? Well, my internet is down where I'm staying, at the Airbnb that I'm staying at. So I am recording this on my computer. The only notes I have for a show are for the Beyond Bitcoin show. I have not been on the internet all day long, so I don't know the latest Bitcoin news, and I don't have any tidbits to make a whole show out of. So I decided, I've got the Beyond Bitcoin stuff out. Why not do the show on Thursday? We'll just have a regular show on Saturday night instead. So hopefully I'll record this. I will go over to the Bitcoin Embassy, which is probably closed now, and I will stand outside of it, get on the internet, and upload from there in the rain. Yeah, it's kind of nasty out there now, but I want this show. I do a new show here every day, and if there's a way to do it, I'm going to do it. So this is what you get. Tomorrow, if all goes well, if my internet comes back at here, we'll do the This Week in Bitcoin show at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. That is 11 a.m. in London, 1 p.m. in Israel. Now, if I can't get an internet connection here, then we won't have that show. I'll just do a regular Friday show at that same time, most likely. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And but anyway, tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, tune in here. That's 11 a.m. in London. So let's start off with Eric Bischoff. I don't know if any of you have heard of Eric Bischoff before. He was a part of a wrestling promotion, the WWE, WCW. He was in that business for a long time, and he gave a TED Talk in Naperville. Now remember, people, this is the Beyond Bitcoin show, so there's not going to be much Bitcoin stuff in this. But you can fast forward. There'll be some Bitcoin stuff. You're getting a taste of it on a Thursday instead of Saturday. Anyway, so Eric Bischoff gave a TED Talk in Naperville. He said, why the news media is stealing from the pro wrestling playbook. It is a must-watch. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I linked to it below. He talks about how professional wrestling, makes people feel instead of think. The audience feels passionately one way or the other. Business is going to be good. So if they hate you a lot or they love you a lot, business is going to be good. Well, the news media, the mainstream news media has gone in that direction. They want to get people emotional. They want them to be passionate one way or the other. And so it's basically news media, the mainstream news media is a soap opera for grown-ups now. The news media is wrestling entertainment for pseudo-intellectuals, you can say. Cheap heat. Cheap heat is a term in wrestling where the wrestler will say something to get, and it's just a really basic, easy saying to get the audience riled up. Like he'll be in Baltimore and he'll get on the microphone and he'll just start ripping on Baltimore, and everyone will start booing and throwing stuff and going wild. And so the cheap heat, it makes you, you're not thinking. You are emotional at that point. And that's what the news wants. The mainstream media news now is going for cheap heat. Instead, they don't want you to think. Cheap heat is easier to get people. It's easier with cheap heat. People are going to watch more. It's easier to get people to watch with cheap heat, with emotion, than smart stuff, than real news content, than intellectual curiosity. There's tons of information out there the mainstream media could be covering, but no, they want the cheap heat. And the news content, the quote unquote news content, is there to make you feel instead of think. Once you feel, you stop thinking. Remember that. Once you start to feel and you get really emotional, you're not thinking anymore. And that's what unfortunately, the mainstream media business model is all about that now. So again, it's your choice. You can watch it, but start to think about this. Is this making me angry Am I getting caught up in this soap opera for grown-ups that they're presenting to me? And maybe I need to take a step back and do some reading on the internet. And if I'm interested in the subject matter, learn about it that way. Eric Bischoff also says that don't be surprised that in the next presidential election, you end up voting for a professional wrestler. And I think some people are going to think he's joking, but he's talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And yeah, I can see, 80% will vote for him. Why not? He conjures up a lot of emotion. He might run for president. I mean, you're laughing now. This is what politics has become. This is why you want to opt out of the politics, out of the mainstream narrative, and opt into Bitcoin. So, hey, if The Rock becomes the president, you'll be fine if you got your Bitcoin. But yeah, 80%ers, yeah, they can vote in The Rock. You know, emotionally triggered. He makes people very emotional. He's a good actor, pretty good actor from what I saw one of his movies on the plane. Pound that like button. I forgot what it was called because they're all the same, I think. All right, so you know, back in Baltimore, I had a friend named Amanda Rothschild, and you know what? People didn't go around beating Amanda and like shouting things at her and accusing her of things and blaming her for all their problems. You know, her last name was Rothschild, but she had nothing to do with this so-called Rothschild banking family that like existed in the 1700s. Nothing. She wasn't related to them. She's Jewish. It's a Jewish last name. Nothing to do with them. And logically, no one beat her or blamed her for all their problems. She's just a regular person, Amanda. She's a nice person. Well, here on the internet land, people are a little bit different. They don't seem as rational. You know, they see someone's last name, and if they're obsessed with that last name, and the person says something they don't like, they go crazy. There's a guy out there, and he's an economist. He's a liberal guy. He's a Jewish guy, actually, also. And by the way, the Rothschild, the people who are descended from that Rothschild banking family from the 1700s, they're not even Jewish anymore. I think their last name is de Rothschild now. And there's so many of them. Some of them are probably Jewish still, but some of them intermarried and whatever. They do what they do. Some of them are wealthy. Some of them probably aren't wealthy. They don't control the world. And if you go around blaming people, if you go around thinking someone controls the world, then you've given away any power over yourself. You have no personal responsibility. You're a blamer. You're a scapegoater. If you've got cockamamie theories about who controls the world and why you're not, well, you've got wealth envy. You've got some issues. And if you have to go back all the way back to the 1700s for your scapegoat and then drag them into the present, I mean, think about that logically. Move on. See, move on. If someone, maybe they were corrupt in the 1700s. I don't really care. But is that a reason to blame them for all your problems? People with that last name for all your problems? And again, it goes beyond that. Again, there's some people who take advantage of it. They don't like Jewish people very much. So here's the easy escape. Let's put it all. Let's make a conspiracy about them. But there's a lot of people who just jump on this Rothschild thing. They don't even know what it's based around, and they're like, yeah, they control all the banks still. They're trillionaires. They're this. They're that, and they're the cause of all my problems. Again, if you're not satisfied with the current economic system, then you can opt into Bitcoin, or you can sit around in a basement and blame some family's last name all day long. So this guy is an economist. What is his name? His name's David Rothschild. His name is David Rothschild. He's an economist. He's liberal. And he posted something. I don't know what he posted. Something about an ethno-state. I don't even know. But I linked to it below. And the people just start pounding him. I mean, saying the worst things you ever heard. Anti-Semitic accusations, just going on and on about how he's the cause of all their problems and how his family did X, Y, and Z, his family this, his family... And he even says in the middle of it, you know, people are just... I've got a common last name with a banking family. He says he's not related to them. He's not related to them. Even if he is related to them, and he is a liberal, he's not the cause of your problems, dudes. And people are just slaying the guy. And again, he used some curse words and stuff. I mean, I don't think... he doesn't deserve to be attacked in such a way. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But in terms of, again, it's a verbal attack. He's not being physically attacked. It says more about the people who are attacking. It really says a lot about people's obsession, their envy, and that they cannot take personal responsibility for their own lack of accomplishments or their own accomplishments. Don't blame some guy on Twitter. and associate him with something he's not even associated with. And again, I don't agree with what this guy is saying. With some of this guy's tweets are ludicrous. He seems to be obsessed with Trump. Great, attack him from on what he's, debate him. But it's in all this Rothschild madness, you people, you really got to move on. You got to move on with your lives. You weren't around in the 1700s. There's not a trillionaire family that controls everything right now. If you think that, if you're into that conspiracy stuff, then you're going down a very unproductive path. I can tell you that. It's your choice. It's your choice. I am not a blamer. I am a doer. And that whole Rothschild circle, it's a bunch of blamers, people. And you could be with the blamers if you want to. But it's ugly. It's really ugly stuff if you read what these people on Twitter have said about him. And again, for those of you who think the Rothschilds control Twitter, some of you think that. No, this guy is not even a real Rothschild. He's getting lambasted, but the people who are saying they're not getting banned or anything like that. No, of course not. But I mean, again, Twitter picks and chooses what they they have their days where they like this, they have their days where they like that. Again, completely different subject matter. And again, this makes me think, are there people out there that want to be controlled? They're just like, well, someone has to control the system. I have to be a slave to something. I have to. I mean, it seems like they pick out these conspiracy theories based on their desire to be controlled. That in the long run, it's just some psychological thing. Like I can't be independent. I have to be controlled. I can't take personal responsibility. Are you that helpless that you need someone to blame for all your faults? I mean, come on, take some personal responsibility. Don't be helpless. Don't be a slave. All right, moving on to drama and triggering type of stuff. We're talking about emotion in the news media. As I said last week, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not going to survive through the year 2019. She will die at some point in 2019 of cancer. She's an old 85-year-old woman, and she's her third time. Okay, that's besides the point. Trump will nominate this Amy Barrett woman, and I did the math. Now, if Amy Barrett lives as long, she's in her mid-40s now, Amy Barrett. If she lives basically as long as Ruth Bader Ginsburg lives, she will be on the Supreme Court for 40 years. She could still be on the Supreme Court in the year 2060. This person that Trump is about to nominate, once Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away, I assume it will be this woman, Amy Barrett, could be, and it says something about life. The technologies that we live with today, that it extends people's lives, that we can be confident that a woman that's in her 40s today can be alive when she's 85, 86 in the year 2060. This woman, Trump might have an effect on politics of the 2060s. That is, so, talk about, if you're into politics, and, you shouldn't be into politics, it's a waste, but, if you're around the New Year's table, and you talk to some, see if that triggers them. See if they get emotional about it or if they get logical about it. What's their reaction? Because that could be very Now, as I had predicted, once Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away, the mainstream media it's gonna be a wrestling match. Oh yeah, it's gonna be like WWE, unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what they'll pull out, to rip on this one, because they will not want this. Amy Barrett to be the Supreme Court Justice in the 2060s still, in the year 2060. I mean, again, this is a big, again, if you're into the Supreme Court, if you think they're very powerful, and again, they're not powerful over me, but a lot of people put a lot of faith and they rely on the government's decisions. This woman will be on there and could be on there until 2060 or even beyond. So prepare for that. Now, speaking of, and it's just interesting. I like numbers like that. I like thinking about the future. Is that a halving year? I don't even know. Well, if 20, yeah, that's a halving year. There's going to be a 26 because 2020 is a halving. Yeah, 40 years later is 2060. Wow. So the 2060 halving, Amy Barrett will be loving life, I guess. So, oh God, it's raining out there. Wow, this is going to be amazing if I get this thing uploaded. Man. So speaking of preparation, here's an article about a young person who passed away, who had an iPad and had all his last wishes on the iPad, but he didn't tell his parents the code to get on the iPad. So and Apple couldn't help them, And you can read this story. Now, I bring this up just so you prepare. You don't get into a similar situation. My father, and the reason I found this story out is because we can't get on my father's iPad. We don't know his password. He's only had the iPad about a year, and it probably prompted him to create a passcode. He has nothing to hide or anything like that. And again, there is some information that we think it might be beneficial to one of my relatives that might be on there, but we can't get on there now. So, and maybe if anyone out there does know a way to figure out the passcode to get onto one of those iPads, you can email me at adam at trezorhelp.com. And by the way, follow me on TechBalt at TECHBALT, disruptmeister.com. All of my archives linked to below. This is a t-shirt. It's the Bitcoin Honey Badger. You can get stuff like that linked to below. Now, I'm not saying to give all your, well, now with your Trezor, that's you got to have a plan of how they're going to get your recovery seed. You tell someone where the recovery seed is. You can do the same thing with your iPad though. Like have a list of passwords somewhere. You just password preparation and say, hey, trusted relative, if I die suddenly, that's where all my passwords are. So that would help. Just it happens to young people, it happens to old people. You never know when you're going to suddenly go away like that. Okay, in happier news, again, January 3rd is the Bitcoin 10th anniversary blowout party here in Tel Aviv. I will be there. Tickets below. It's a lot cheaper with your Bitcoin, especially using Lightning Network than using fiat. A lot. They value their wealth in Bitcoin. Gotta love that Tel Aviv Bitcoin embassy where I'm hopefully will be uploading this video. Something I forgot to say. And so it'll be 2019 by then, and I'm sure a lot of people, there'll be celebrations all over. I'll be doing a live stream from there that in a week from now. Anyway, one thing I want to say is that for me, 2019 is the year of no blaming. Personal responsibility is new counterculture. I keep saying it. Maybe that can be your New Year's resolution. I think New Year's resolutions are somewhat lame because people usually just abandon them immediately. But I mean, right now, and again, January 1st is an arbitrary day. It's just the day we say the next year starts. There's different cultures say it starts on different days, and don't blame. I think it's productive. Everyone's always looking for an excuse. Something bad happens, move on, learn from it, be productive. And that's one of my biggest takeaways. I hope people take away from these videos, these Beyond Bitcoin videos, that just blaming is a poison. It can get you sick. It can waste a lot of time. And if you find yourself blaming, take a step back and try to look at it from a different perspective and make it a productive situation. So, we were talking about the Rothschild conspiracy before. I know there's also people who don't believe in NASA, who share that Rothschild conspiracy. And but New Horizons on January 1st will be approaching a Kuiper Belt object called 2014 MU69. It's also called Ultima Thule, and it's just an amazing accomplishment of humanity that NASA has sent a satellite that far. It will be the furthest that a man-made object has gone that still could be monitored for observation. A Voyager has gone further, but it doesn't do scientific work anymore. This is going to be our the object that it's taking pictures of, MU69, whatever it is, 20 Ultima Thule. It will be we've never seen an object that far away, up close like that. So I'm so excited about it. I'm so proud of humanity. It just shows how fast we're going. And again, you can say it's not really happening. It's unbelievable. People just can't take that. Some people are very productive. Some people are very smart. Some people are very talented and can pull off things like this. Be proud of humanity. It is going to be a great accomplishment, and hopefully they have enough power in that thing to study other Kuiper Belt objects. So hopefully the program continues, and hopefully it's just amazing photos come back, and we learn a lot from this faraway object about the history of the solar system, and who knows what they might find on that thing. So be proud, and it just shows you how fast technology. What a great time to be alive! What a great time to be alive! Such exploration. And again, I'm a curious guy. I love exploration, and I think those are productive traits. All right. Speaking of last names to blame, Schiff. You got people also like to blame the Schiff banking family. Peter Schiff, it has nothing to do with them. Again, he's Jewish. He has the same last name as them. He's not them. Now, he was on Greg Hunter's show, and again, just because Peter Schiff isn't a Schiff doesn't mean that he doesn't say ludicrous things sometimes, though. He was on Greg Hunter's show, and the title of the show was classic. Americans are going to be impoverished. Again, so Greg does that because he attracts doomed people, and doomed people love to hear that America is going to be, they love to hear negative stuff like that. And again, Peter Schiff, Greg Hunter, they've been saying this for a long time. Check out their archives. America is not now again, America, the dollar is being inflated away. You can't buy as much. But the people who live off the welfare dollar, they live a very comfortable life. People on welfare in America get lots of great things: free housing, free TVs, free Obama phones, all sorts of great stuff. So I wouldn't call them impoverished. And the system will continue because many people, they just love it. They love their government check. They love their welfare dollar. They love their situations. They love sending their kids to public school, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to opt out. They're comfortable. They love competing with their neighbors for the biggest car because they have credit. So yeah, we'll go through other recessions. There'll be bad recessions. But no, we're not going to be impoverished. And if you wait around for your neighbor to be impoverished, you're going to be waiting around for a very long time. And you're not going to be very productive during that time period. Peter Schiff has been talking about this dream of his for years. And it's a sick dream to have. Who knows? It's good for his business, though, I guess. Good for Greg Hunter's business to be negative. Negativity brings you sickness. And again, if you do think the world is going to collapse, if you do think everything's is going in that direction, then you can cry about it, you can scream about it, you can watch Greg Hunter and Peter Schiff every day, or you can opt into Bitcoin. Now, how many people who love shows like who are obsessed with, who are just waiting for this kind of thing to happen, for Americans are going to be impoverished, how many of them actually buy Bitcoin? How many of them are no coiners? Quite a few. They don't want to do anything. They think that something magical is going to happen once the bad thing happens. Or actually, they have no plan. They're just like, they're going to feel vindicated if the bad thing happens, if the government falls apart, if the dollar falls apart, if this happens. Again, waiting around for such things to happen in this modern age of technology, it's not very productive, and it's sickening. It makes you sick. So again, we're able to send a probe all the way out beyond Pluto, to Pluto, and then to beyond Pluto to take pictures. The technology that individuals possess, that companies possess, that even the government possesses, is able to improve the quality of life so much for so many people that people aren't going to be impoverished in the United States of America. That's Anyway, so this technology cures a lot. It does fix a lot. It is able to maintain this status quo. Like if people getting free phones that they can just glare at professional wrestling like stuff every day, it's very satisfying for the 80%ers. Very satisfying. So technology, the level of technology we have reached really pacifies the masses. It really can pacify the masses. And don't think of it that way instead of thinking the opposite, that like, they're going to go crazy and everything's going to fall apart. It's much more productive. And again, you position yourself right. It doesn't matter if there's a really bad recession or a depression. You'll be fine. Personal responsibility. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about the masses. Don't worry about the Fed, this, that, and that. Position yourself so you don't have to worry about that stuff. And finally, despite, this is from Arjun. He shares an article. I didn't get to read the article, but it's a good thought. Despite what the media would have you believe, 2018 was the best year to be alive. Yeah, I think every year that as we go on, 2018 was the best year to be alive. Next year we'll beat it. The year after that we'll beat that. Every year it gets better and better and better. So let me tell you something. Tomorrow, Friday, is my grandmother's 96th birthday. She doesn't have a thyroid anymore. That got removed a while ago. And she drives a car. and she lives a very productive life. But she has to take thyroid medicine every day. Now that's a life extension technology. That's where we come to now, where a 96-year-old woman who doesn't have a thyroid anymore can live a very productive life and a very healthy life, drive a car safely. And her driver's license, by the way, does not, it expires on her 100th birthday. This is true. The state of Maryland, when she turned 92, renewed her license, and it expires 8 years later on when she'll turn 100 on December 28th, 2022. So, happy birthday to my grandmother tomorrow. But that's just an example of the power of technology. You got to remain somewhat healthy in order to get the benefits of some of the technologies like that, like whatever thyroid medication she's on. And I think a lot of people are on that thyroid medication because a lot of people lose their thyroids younger and stuff like that. Again, she only lost her thyroid a few years ago. So I mean, how long can it be made? She lives a very, very productive life, though. So I wanted to add that when we're talking about, this was the best year ever. Yeah, it's darn good. It's darn good when you're living in a world where people can be kept alive. Because again, in the old days, if she didn't have a thyroid anymore, you would die the next day. You need a thyroid. That's it. So yeah, I guess the last few things I've talked about on the show are about technology, and it baffles my mind that people like to doubt that technology even exists. That people think we live on a flat. Some people think we live on a flat Earth, and that there's just little lights in the sky and stuff like that. No, I mean I see it for real with my grandmother. I mean, that's technology right there. So it can fix a lot, and it can support a lot. It can support the current system easily. And technology can be used for not so great things. It helps keep the mindless media around too. But again, you have to understand what that is, what you're watching. That they're playing on your emotions there when you're watching that big screen, fancy TV. All right, then, pound that like button, bang that bell button, click on the squares that you see up there. I hope you enjoyed this early version of the Beyond Bitcoin show. Again, hopefully Saturday we'll just have a regular Bitcoin show. Hopefully my internet comes back very soon. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the links section below. Honey Badger.